are their name Fresh and Fit? Like, is that their name?
No, I mean the Fresh and Fit podcast. So the main dude, well, I don't know if he necessarily considers himself the main, but Fit is Myron. He's the lankier guy. And then the dude from Barbados who has a darker complexion, he goes by Fresh. I don't know what his real name is. Pretty sure it's not Fresh, but
yeah.
I digress.
Yeah, for sure. We've spoken about them in the past with the Kevin Samuels things and the OnlyFans girls. We weren't really a fan, no pun intended, of how they approached those females and talked about like alpha males and all that shit. So do you want to catch listeners up on what actually happened on their podcast a week ago that's going pretty viral?
For sure. So essentially Asian Doll, who I believe is a rapper, was King Von's girl for a minute. She came on the podcast. I think she came along with another girl, and they were kind of having side conversations, or at least the other girl was. And Asian Doll basically said Myron was mean for suggesting that this girl stop having these side conversations. She didn't like the way that he was verbally attacking her. So she said, "You're being mean." He's like, basically, get off the show if you don't want to be here. Like, this is our podcast, follow the rules, yada, yada, yada. So that situation got blown out of proportion. But of course, the Twitter investigators found a clip of them, an older clip, basically saying they don't date black women. But not only that, they use insults like, we're not night riders, we don't dabble in the dark, we don't want Shaniquas, yada yada yada. So
they like that, even like double down, like quadruple down on that like statement.
Yeah. And they basically are defending themselves by saying that it's merely a preference, just like how girls may prefer taller men or, you know, men with a lot of money, etc. But obviously it goes a lot deeper than that. It's not simply just, hey, we have a preference, because there's a lot of animosity.
Yeah, dude. And I think there was also a clip I saw, I don't know if you saw it, like I don't think it was the Asian Doll one, but another episode where there was a black female on it, and they were telling her like, we don't date like black girls. Maybe it was the same episode you're talking about right now, but she was talking about how like she's a certain way, and they were oh, but you're different, like you're okay, like you're not like a ratchet one like them. And I was like, eesh.
That rubbed me a really wrong way, because I felt like myself in that moment, like how a white person might say, oh, hey Blair, like you're educated, you're not like the other Negroes who are like violent.
We've spoken about before. Yeah.
And I've had people in my life tell me I'm whitewashed, and I ask why, and they're like, oh, like you're not loud and you're educated, like basically positive qualities. So they think it's a compliment, but really what you're saying is, I can't identify with my race because I do good. Like, black people are all scum of the earth, but you're one of the exceptions. So feel happy that I'm
right. It's not like you came from a very well-educated black family, so like you're more than one. It's not like I was the only one. Like
right. And it's very conflicting, because you're like, on one hand, you're like, okay, yeah, this person's telling me I'm this and that, but you feel like you can't identify with your own race or culture, because you're constantly having people tell you that, using a broad stroke with a brush, that, you know, your people are just, you know, at the bottom of the totem pole, but you're one of the ones who made it out, so to speak.
Totally. So does it also rub you the wrong way? I'll give my opinion in a second, when it's coming from two black males.
100%. I think as black males, we have much more authority to speak on like issues and things within the black community that we may not necessarily like. But why I don't like it is because it gives more ammo to people of other races who may be less forgiving, and they'll say, look, like these black individuals don't even like their own people, so why the fuck should I care, so to speak. And I think that's just a very dangerous path to go down. And the problem too is they're trying to also defend it by saying, look, we have black women on the show and stuff, but they don't understand that the context is, the show is business at the end of the day. You're not dating these women. You're not even necessarily having to associate with them outside of the show. Like, I'm sure there's a ton of fucking racist. I mean, look at the fucking NBA and like whatever else. Like, yeah, you're employing black players, but behind the scenes, you're like, this nigga, that, and you know, fuck this dude. So I think it's stupid. I've heard a couple people say, look, they have diversity on the show. That doesn't mean shit. It's business at the end of the day. At the end of the day, money is going to speak far louder than you know what internal hate you have for a person.
Yeah, dude, I agree with that. And also, dude, my thing, the reason why I didn't like care for it, just coming from two black men, is just like, as a black female, that has to be the most like gut to the punch, punch to the gut. Yeah. It's like, dude, if the men we're giving birth to don't even fucking respect us, like, what the fuck are we even on this planet for? You know what I mean? Like, dude, like, we have no chance for fuck white guys, like any race to respect us. If literally the men we're giving birth to have zero respect for us and consider us the most obvious and degrading stereotypes there are of, you know, of the black female, right? Like, or the black American female, which is just like, come on, bro. It's an easy, and again, I agree with their first thing. Well, when they finally said like everyone's allowed their preference, dude, 100%, dude. But you could just say, yo, I currently like Asian girls, or I love me a Latina, like that's my thing. And then end of conversation, dog. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Like, for you to double down, just say like the worst shit. It's like, dog, like, damn, like, again, with other shit they've done, right? Like with the Kevin Samuels and the OnlyFans girl, it wasn't like they were like, yo, you should guys should try this because it's been successful. It's like, what you're doing is disgusting. And it's just like, fuck, dude, like there has to be a better way to go about this. So again, I'm sure they're doing it for the buzz. Shit went viral. Everyone's been talking about it. So I'm sure it's only helping their cause. But it would just hate to, like, again, at the end of the day, like a black woman hearing that isn't concerned about their views, right? Like they may take that shit to heart and like really think like, dog, like, fuck, man, like that could be my brother. And like, dude, my own brother doesn't fuck with me. Like the fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like that sucks.
Exactly. And it's also sad that these men who fall into this little alpha male cult feel like what comes with that is you always, like, your opinion is the truth and fuck what a bitch thinks, so to speak. Like, we don't care what women think. We don't care if we hurt their feelings. We can say irrational things because an alpha male doesn't care what other people think, but they have it misconstrued clearly and don't understand that certain rhetoric and behavior is problematic. And
that's
they have a business
super
to run.
Problematic,
super problematic. I understand they have a business to run and they can't, you know, defend every little fucking thing they say, but they should have just owned up to it and said, you know what, it was irresponsible for us to, you know, spew these negative stereotypes. But again, you know, everyone's entitled to their preference and just leave it at that. But I see them trying to, every quote unquote L that they've been taking, trying to defend it.
They're
hurting their brand.
Yeah, they're not trying to take they're not taking that L like, you know, that you're right. But just like on YouTube, has the majority of the pushback for these guys been negative after that, or have like a lot of people also been siding with them?
I think honestly, the only people that have been siding with them from what I've seen are like the day one. Fuck, I don't know what's happening to my voice.
You're good.
The day one fans.
The Kevin Samuels of the world, like that, those groups of like commenters. I got you.
Yeah, but the majority of people are like, yo, that's foul. Like, once you cross the line of the preference, like, I don't like this shit because, and then also it's not even like, oh, our culture doesn't align or whatever. It's they are horrible people, but you know, there's probably one or two good ones in the group, but the rest of them are all fucking this. That's when you just fucking stepped on eggshells and lit yourself on fire.
Yeah, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, that should just, again, I'm curious to see what the, like, over the coming weeks, because, fam, I think it's because, but those comments actually came out like months ago, right?
I think so. Right? I mean, it definitely wasn't.
Like, it wasn't a recent episode. Like, it was the Asian doll thing made people want to really dig into, like, what their content is, right? Yeah,
I think so. And I don't know, as someone who I've seen a lot of people from the black community speak on it, and a lot of the theories that I've seen come up is that they're individuals who probably didn't have much success with black women in their past. I know a lot of, especially non-American blacks and black Americans have this weird tension a lot of times where they may just see, I don't know, individuals from Jamaica or Africa or whatever as other, so they may get made fun of or whatever the case is. So you build this animosity over time, and the narrative changes from I can't get this kind of girl to I don't date them because they're pieces of shit for these 10 reasons. So
because they're both guys are fresh and fit are like American, right? They're not African American. They're like
one of them's definitely from Barbados, which is fresh, and then Myron, I believe, has some sort of Arab background.
Okay,
but I don't know. I'm sure they would refer to themselves as black, but then again, you know how people kind of flip flop here and there when it's convenient. So who knows? But they strike me as the kind of people that just don't, I don't know, have chemistry with black women for whatever reason.
Yeah. Either they've been shut down, or you're right, like, you know, I can feel that, bro. Because I remember having black female friends in like middle school, and like they would be mean to like the girls who like also black but like were Jamaican, and it's just like, I'm like, fam, like the reason you're getting mad at them for it doesn't make any fucking sense. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm a child, I'm like, fam, this doesn't make any sense. Like, they're different. I'm like, no. Like, I don't think they're the same. So like, so I feel that.
Yeah. And I'm curious about your personal experience, because at least for me, like growing up, I was, for the majority of my younger life, primarily around white girls. So naturally, that's who I was attracted to and felt comfortable around and stuff. And then when I went to high school, I went to a different high school actually, and that was primarily Hispanic, some black girls, but pretty much no white or Asian girls. And then I started developing an attraction primarily to Latina girls, because that was like what my classes were filled with. And you know, when you're dozing off, just fucking staring at girls, you're looking around.
You're a product of your environment, 100%.
Yeah. Changed in college, I was primarily around Asian girls, and I'm like, all right, like what's within hand's reach? Like, it's not some fetish shit, it's just what's in my immediate surrounding. So my preference, you know, fluctuated over time, but at the end of the day, I'm personally attracted to all shades of women. It's more so like the physical that I have, like, you know, more of a criteria for, but I do think that plays into a lot of people's preferences, is what you grew up around.
Yeah, dude. And I guess like I'm like not an anomaly, but dude, me bouncing around just meant that I really ended up liking like everyone. You know what I mean? Like growing up in the Bronx early on, surrounded by Hispanics. As we went into a more prosperous time in my middle school years, we moved into a better neighborhood, went to better school. So now I'm seeing more white girls, black girls, Spanish girls, Asian. Like I'm seeing like more in my day to day, right? So I'm like, oh, dude, like she's attractive. Maybe I'm not attracted to her that much, but it wasn't about race. It was always about like, I just have so many options here, more than I had before. Let me just see which ones are like, as people are attractive. And then, dude, same thing. I went into India, bro. I went to a fucking international school with everyone's daughter. For the 50% of the percentage of the kids there were Indian. The other half were diplomats' kids from Poland, Korea, Arabia, like everywhere, bro. So it's just like at that point, dude, you're like hitting puberty. You're just trying to be like, yo, who am I fucking? You know what I mean? Like I'm not worried about like anything. Like I don't care where you're from. I'm like, yo, we get attractive enough that there's a chance to us to fuck. So, and then in college, it kind of I went to the University of Miami, bro. Miami's a fucking melting pot. Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I would say like, I personally wasn't attracted to the Hispanic kids when I came to UM, only because like they looked down on me because sometimes there's like in Hispanic culture, there's like criterias to like how well like you spoke Spanish, or like just like the history behind it. Like Dominican Republic was ruled by everyone, bro. So like, and then like the Argentinian kids and Venezuelan kids were like, you know, there's more close alliance to Spain. So it just felt like they like gave me, like they shunned me. So it wasn't that I thought those girls weren't attractive. I find them very attractive. I just didn't care to like engage with them because I knew they didn't fuck with me. But like, I would never be like, nah, you're trash. And you're like, I was just like, bro, right. I'm not even gonna try. Like it's fine, dude. So yeah, bro, like again, like I've currently dated a white girl. My last 2 girlfriends have been white, but the girls in between have been black. Like, so it doesn't fucking like, I'm gonna tell you like my current girlfriend is white, and I hope she ends up being my wife one day. But for the most part, it's almost just like, yeah, like what's around you. And then it's also the benefit of like, bro, having a social circle. I mean, again, we have the benefit, bro, living like in major fucking cities. That your circle of friends, like kind of like what you experience in London, like you need to have a circle of friends that isn't the same. You know what I mean? Like, I'm grateful that, dude, I have Haitian friends. Like in my immediate circle, I have a Haitian friend who has married to a black wife. I have an Argentinian friend who's married to a Cuban wife who was raised in America. I have a Cuban friend, and then I have like Indian friends who's married to a white girl, white guy married. You know what I mean? Like, I'm lucky to see everything, right? So I don't know. Like, it just never made me feel like, oh no, like my next girl has to be white, or she has to be Dominican, or she had, like, it's just like, bro, like I see that all these females are making my boys happy. So I'm just trying to find a female that can bring me peace in my life. She better be attractive, but her being attractive doesn't mean that it also has to be a certain kind of race. Like, if that makes sense.
100%. Yeah, for me, being attractive was never tied to your race. It was just, are you attractive or not to me, like physically. Skin color, not even part of the criteria. And similar to you with the Hispanic thing in college, I'd say in reverse for me, actually. Like in college, speaking to black women was a completely different experience than like in high school. I think in high school, also because like in that era, like everyone's concerned with like who's cool and shit. And I actually had a lot of black girls in high school say like, oh, I don't look black or sound black or whatever.
They say you don't look black?
Yeah, they thought, or not, I don't look black, but they didn't think I was completely black. They thought I was like Dominican,
got it.
Or like something else. But I always got the sense that like I was quote unquote too white for a lot of them. Or not like thug enough or some shit.
Yeah, so in college for me, like, in college, I got the vibe from the Spanish girls that I wasn't Hispanic enough.
Yeah, so that will kind of push you in one direction, but that, for me at least, that never built this like animosity towards black women or whatever. It's like, it is what it is. I'm just trying to, like you said, to quote you, fuck something.
Yo, facts.
And any woman who's beautiful, I'm willing to have a conversation with you. Like that is what it is. And I know a lot of people who like were the whitewashed of their minority. You're not whitewashed, but like not X enough.
Right.
And they just naturally were like, all right, I guess this group wants to date me, so I'm gonna go to them. And it wasn't necessarily a hateful thing. And I wonder if that's what's happening here. And they're like, we're not good enough for our own or whatever, but instead of just quietly having your preference, we're gonna say fuck all of
we're gonna and we know that we have a large enough support system that enough people will kind of support us, or at least gain you're right. But what's funny enough, like, it really is what your surrounding is, bro, because in college I had so many other options that I didn't want to deal with that, not hate, but just the awkwardness of like not being accepted, quote unquote. But then as I got older, dude, I remember like my first girlfriend out of college was a Venezuelan girl, because she was just in my surrounding now. And like, you're older, you're like, bro, like, I'm not like on a campus of 14,000 females. Like,
yeah, I'm
gonna bump into this girl a lot. She's fucking fine as hell. Let me, you know, and we dated for like 3 years, bro. So again, it really is what your surrounding is, but it's just like, you can't, it just seems so fucked up to like, again, say you don't like someone, or say you're not attracted to someone, and then have all these reasons to justify that have nothing to do with that specific person. It's just based off, oh, you're this thing, you're this culture. Oh, I can't like you because you have these flaws. You're like, fam, you don't know what the fuck you're talking, because you don't know this person. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going off the most, I don't want to say obvious, that's like offensive too, but the most like easy fucking thing to say, because you've heard that same stereotype being said for years and years. You know what I mean? Right. So, and again, it coming from someone of that race is like shitty, bro. Like, that's like me like saying I'll never date a Dominican chick because like them girls are fucking loud, they're rude. It's like, dog, like that's like the most disrespectful shit to my mom or like aunt, like a grandma. It's like, that's a little, so that's again, and maybe that's some shit I say to you on the side, fam. But I'm not going on a platform
Right.
if I really feel that way. Because again, there might be a Dominican girl listen to that shit that is like, damn, bro, like, what the fuck? Like, is that me? Like, should I identify like this? Like, I don't know, but that shit just makes me, I feel bad for the females that had to hear that shit, to be honest.
For sure. And another thing that they mentioned that I haven't heard a lot of people talk about, or anyone really, is, I don't know if you heard it, but there's a little portion of that rant where he says maybe a red bone or something.
Yeah.
But then he continues. And I'm like, if anything, that's like that clearly indicates how deep rooted this like internal hate, I guess you could call it, is, because he's basically saying if it's a light skinned black chick, she could get a pass. So it's clearly like, yo, like if she looks white, then maybe she'll get a pass but for whatever reason. But if you're like black, then fuck you completely, because you're ugly and dark and we don't even want to deal with that. So it's all kinds of levels of fucked up and just, I don't know, lame.
Yeah. So again, there's no need to talk about it anymore, but yeah, it definitely was the biggest topic for the last week. I think rightly so, just because, again, slow news week, new year, I get that. But yeah, bro, that just seemed fucked up. So again, we'll see if the simp army comes for us again. But I think we have enough people on our side that we won't be bombarded with fucking comments that fuck us up. All right, bro. So for us...